On the evening of June 6, 1992, the suburban streets of Springfield, Missouri were quiet. The town was wrapped up in graduation season, with families hosting backyard cookouts and high school seniors celebrating the end of an era. 19-year-old Suzanne Streeter and 18-year-old Stacy McCall spent that evening doing exactly what you'd expect, hopping between local graduation parties to celebrate with their friends. As the night wound down, the two young women decided to crash at Suzanne's house. Her 47-year-old mother, Sherill Levitt, was already home, settling in for the night. Every known detail points to a secure suburban Saturday. 3 women, asleep in a locked home, entirely safe in their own neighborhood. But when the sun came up a few hours later, the house was empty. The women's cars were still parked in the driveway. Their personal belongings, including all 3 of their purses, were still sitting inside on the furniture. Investigators scoured the property for signs of forced entry. They found no broken glass and no blood. There was nothing to indicate a struggle had taken place in any room. Removing 3 adults from a single location against their will is difficult, yet the interior of the home remained undisturbed. It did not look like a crime scene. It looked as though Suzanne, Stacy, and Sherill had vanished into a sudden void in the middle of the night. To understand the speed of this disappearance, we have to look closely at the last known communications and the moment the women were discovered missing. This timeline isolates the window of opportunity. The last confirmed contact was around 2:15 in the morning, and the house was found empty at 7:30 a.m. Within that narrow 5-hour block of time, 3 grown women were extracted from the property. By 7:30 a.m., friends and family were already arriving at the house. They expected to find the women getting ready for the day, but instead walked into a silent, empty residence. Moving 3 adults from a home against their will requires absolute control. To do it in a quiet suburb within just a few hours and without alerting a neighbor or leaving a trace of evidence requires a level of precision that defies standard criminal patterns. When local law enforcement arrived, they immediately realized they had very little to work with. There were no fingerprints to dust and no struggle to reconstruct. Because the locks were intact and the doors showed no signs of being pried open, investigators deduced that the women might have recognized whoever came to the door and opened it themselves. Another possibility is that an intruder managed to gain entry quietly, then forced all 3 out of the home under an immediate, silent threat. But the one theory the evidence contradicts is that they left on their own terms. People do not abandon their vehicles and leave their purses sitting on the living room table if they intend to walk away. Authorities launched an exhaustive search. They brought in friends and relatives for questioning and followed up on hundreds of potential sightings reported by the public. None of them panned out. When investigators lack a primary crime scene or physical data, speculation takes over. Every scenario remains unprovable, leaving the investigation with more questions than facts. It has now been more than 30 years since the sun rose on that empty house in Springfield. In the time since 1992, criminal investigations have changed. Federal agencies have developed sophisticated digital tracking, advanced DNA sequencing, and entirely new forensic methodologies. Yet these advancements have failed to resolve the case. The FBI and local authorities have never announced a definitive explanation for what occurred that morning. For the families left behind, the passage of time has brought no closure. They have spent decades waiting for information that has never arrived. It forces us to confront a deeply unsettling reality that even with modern science and ubiquitous surveillance, it is still possible for people to disappear without a trace. We are left with only the raw facts: 3 women, 1 ordinary house, and 1 single night. What actually happened in the dark hours between 2:15 a.m. and sunrise? Did someone they trust cross the threshold, or were they met by a stranger? Until the silence of that 5-hour window is finally broken, Suzanne Streeter, Stacy McCall, and Sherill Levitt will remain missing. This is AmeriVanta, America Beyond the Ordinary. Hit subscribe to uncover more unexplained mysteries and hidden histories, and let us know in the comments, what do you believe happened inside that house?